a lot of people start their business, and like once things go in that direction, like you said, rock bottom, what advice would you tell them? What was that aha moment that you were like, okay, this happened in my life that made me take this and this action that took me to the next level?
Most people will never experience rock bottom because they're scared of rock bottom. It was actually a blessing to experience rock bottom because I realized, man, it's really not that bad. I still have my health. I still have all my experiences, all my skills. I have my family. I have my God, right? And so like, if this is the worst it can be, why not keep going? I have nothing to lose at this point. In this episode, I had the opportunity to jump on with Julio, who's an entrepreneur down in Puerto Rico. We discussed how we built strategically our business out of my garage in 2017 to $233 million a year. You're going to learn so many incredible things, like how we backed into it, how we built our operations. You've been hearing a lot of me talk about, if you watch some of our previous episodes, about building out the detailed map, the 5-year blueprint. We go into even more detail on this episode, identifying the principles and the self-talk and everything that it takes to go and scale a business in today's level of entrepreneurship. You're going to enjoy this and so much more on this episode of the Founder Podcast. My mission is to change the lives of 2 billion people through entrepreneurship, helping entrepreneurs realize that their business is more than just economics, more than just creating paychecks for employees, but it's actually helping their team members become better physically, economically, with their associations, the way they impact their communities, and also their spiritual side.
Hey everybody, hope that you're doing amazing. Today we had a podcast with Chris Lee. We're here in CEO Bias. Chris Lee is a person that, number one, I saw him and he was super humble, and he had like an amazing trajectory and building companies and doing exits. And I thought that you can all guys learn from him. Chris, great to have you here.
Yeah, excited to be here. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
So thank you, Chris. So there are a few things I want to ask you, and the first one is, how did you become Chris today? What's your backstory for people that are in Latin America, Puerto Rico, and Brazil, and different areas that they hear us out? Like, how do you got there?
Well, I mean, that's a pretty loaded question. Lots of details. It's definitely not just one quick answer of I worked hard and here I am. There's been a lot of life events, series of events, of things that have led me to achieving the different things. For me, I don't think there's necessarily a success isn't an endpoint. It's a journey. It's a trajectory. It's something that we're all striving for, and each of us have a different interpretation of, right? And because frankly, each one of us were put on this earth to do something different, right? Like Julio is different than Chris, and Chris is different than Edgar and Jose and everybody else. And so, for me, my life's mission is to impact and change others through influence, and my method of influence has been entrepreneurship, owning businesses and impacting employees and customers and everything else. And now I'm on the mission to changing the world through impacting other entrepreneurs by teaching them how to run successful organizations, cultures, and change their employees' lives. And so, I grew up in a very humble household. My dad was a school teacher, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And my dad was a first-generation college graduate. Up until that point, most of his family had just been very low-wage earners and undereducated. And so, it was a big step for my dad to go and be a college graduate and go the traditional route of being able to make some money. And we didn't have a lot of it. There was 7 of us, six six siblings, and my cousin were raised on a school teacher's salary. And so from a young age, learned how to work, learned how to be disciplined, learned how to provide for myself, and really be self-sustaining, and learned a lot of great principles from my parents, principles of work ethic, sacrifice, putting God first. Those were some of the main and most important things, and really just how to dream big. My mom always told me that I could go out and accomplish anything that I desired in my life. I just had to put in the effort consistently, and be disciplined in it. And so, um, that's my path has been the last 20 years of entrepreneurship. Initially, I thought I wanted to be a doctor. Dropped out of college my senior year to go and pursue entrepreneurship, start my first business. It all hasn't been sunshine and rainbows, though. I've had many businesses that just haven't worked out. My very first business, I tried going too big, too quick with the wrong partnerships, made a lot of poor choices, was very egotistical and driven for the wrong reason. And 2.5 years after the launch of that business, or just over 2 years after the launch of that business, ended up filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy, lost for 2.2 million. Lost everything, had less than $1,000 in my bank account, car repoed from my driveway, and was in what most entrepreneurs would consider as like worst case scenario type environment. And so had a decision to make. Do I keep going down this path, or do I quit and go back to and do what everybody else is doing, work for the man, and get a real job? And so, I'm grateful to God that I was inspired to continue down that path and take everything that I had learned and developed, and went and continued to apply it. And so then over the series of the next 6, 7 years, it was a lot of education, learning, starting, developing different businesses. I've owned things in everything: real estate, farming, flipping cars, flipping houses. I had a coupon book, medical pendant business, a search engine optimization company, home security, dabbled in pest control for a minute, just all kinds of different things. And so I think most importantly, I learned what did work and what didn't work. And I'd say most people aren't willing to find out what doesn't work. And so I've never been scared of failure. Well, that's not true. I've never been. I've always been willing to approach failure. I have fears just like everybody else, but I've learned how to handle my fears and go and take action regardless. And so, um, that all that education led to me starting a company out of my garage in 2017 that in 4.5 years we scaled from no money to our fifth year in business did $233 million. and
Wow.
and so and there was a lot of different things learned along the way. We built a team of 1,100 employees and team members, and just built something that I was extremely proud of. And I've been able to take that same framework and apply it to other businesses, and been able to see other 9-figure exits and builds and everything. And so like that's kind of the overview of my journey and path. And today, like I said, my mission is to change the lives of 2 billion people through entrepreneurship, helping entrepreneurs realize that their business is more than just economics, more than just creating paychecks for employees, but it's actually helping their team members become better physically, economically, with their associations, the way they impact their communities, and also their spiritual side. And so that's my mission. It's why I get out of bed every morning. It's why I'm on this podcast, because there's a lot more to life than just money.
100%, Chris. And honestly, I was curious when I first heard your story, how, because a lot of people start their business and like once things go in that direction, like you said, rock bottom, like how in the world, like how do you have the stamina to go like, I'm in my lowest point, like how do I don't quit, like like how, like to other people that are out there and in certain degree, and they're like in that moment in their life that they're trying to kick off their business, they're trying to get sales but it's not working. What advice would you tell them? What was that aha moment that you were like, okay, this happened in my life that made me take this and this action that took me to the next level?
Yeah, I mean, my life experiences up until that point had always taught me that like you may have a goal, but typically the route or the road to that goal is not the way that you initially planned it out. And so
Mm-hmm.
my goals didn't change when I failed, right? Like I just had to change the action and the route to be able to get there. You know, I had experienced that with sports. I had goals to be a state champion in American football, and you know I thought it would look one way, and it looked completely different. We ended up getting there and winning that championship, but I learned a lot of hard lessons of failure and not getting what I wanted along the way. So you know, I would continually draw on experiences like that, that and frankly, you know, most people will never experience rock bottom because they're scared of rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
and and so it was actually a blessing to experience rock bottom because I realized, man, it's really not that bad. I still have my health, I still have all my experiences, all my skills, I have my family, I have my God, right? And so like if this is the worst it can be, why not keep going? I have nothing to lose at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everything to gain. And so, you know, I think most people think that they have too much to lose, or you know, that like their safety, their security, their comfort. And so, if you're willing to just get to rock bottom, like for me, like right now, like you can take everything from me. You can take my real estate, my stock portfolio, my homes, and you know, my cash in the bank and everything like that. And like, I'm willing to go back to zero. It doesn't mean I will go to zero, but I'm willing to go back there because I understand that the fruit, the results aren't who I am. The results are simply a derivative or a an equation or a the end result of who I am. And so like I said, you could take everything I have and I'll still be able to reproduce it tomorrow.
So, as you said, you talk about the fruit, that everything that you're living, because in a way, all entrepreneurs, they, like in a way, they start with, because probably like in my case, I started because I come with humble beginnings like you. My family didn't have money, like, and I had to go in the streets, hustle, sell bottled waters, like sell like chocolates and everything. Like I know like what's to struggle, but for me, and like what do you think, Chris, like in a way are the skills that you have today that if tomorrow, God forbid, something happened to you, like you'll be like, okay, I need to do this thing, because you have already that mindset
Yeah,
instilled in you. Because um I know that with your skill set, like because you have proven it not once, twice, like it's already like a map that you have, like a blueprint. Like
right.
what skill set like entrepreneurs should be focusing on?
Yeah, I mean, really, it all comes down to influence, and influence
Mm,
sales is a subset of influence, right? So
mm,
the ability to get other people to see life from your perspective is the
mm,
number one skill that anyone can develop, and this applies to sales. It applies to marketing. It applies to recruiting and building a team and everything else. And so, like, the number one skill that I have is I can go and I can create vision and direction for people, whether that's an employee to come work with me or a customer to come
mm.
work with me, right? Like, helping them see that they don't have to live in the pain that they currently are, and that there are solutions out there. And so, I mean, that's my number one skill set, and I will continue to use for the rest of my life. And I know that, like, I can go and apply it to selling bottled water in the streets. I can go and
Mm-hmm.
sell coaching. I can go and sell yachts. I can go and be a member of somebody else's organization and sell their product or service, right? Influence, right? I
Mm-hmm.
can go and build teams.
Right.
And so influence has many like predecessors, like confidence, right?
Right.
You have to be confident in order to have influence, and the way that you build confidence is you stop lying to yourself, right? And the way that you stop lying to yourself is you do the things that you said you were going to do, right? You be a
Mm-hmm.
person of your word. If you say tomorrow, hey, I'm going to start my diet tomorrow, or I'm going to start working out tomorrow, or I'm going to be a better husband tomorrow, I'm going to treat my kids with more love and dignity tomorrow. If I do that, I get a vote of confidence and my confidence goes up. If I don't do that, I start questioning, like, well, am I a good person? Am I a person of my word? Am I someone of integrity? And then my confidence
Mm-hmm.
goes down, right? And so the biggest way to gain influence is to start doing things consistently, little things. It doesn't have to be big, right? It could be like, all right, today I'm going to do one push up. One push up. Okay, I did it. My confidence boosted. Okay, I am good. Today I'm going to write one page of my book. I write one page of my book. Today I'm going to send 5 kind texts to my family members. Today I'm going to say prayers to my God, right? Like whatever it is that's going on in your head, whether you write it down or you're telling yourself here, if you go and you fulfill on it, your confidence will be boosted. When your confidence boosts, you naturally can be more influential, because now I can get
Mm-hmm.
up in front of somebody and be like, you are going to love this. Why? Because I am confident in whatever is backing me, whether it's my product, my service, myself, right? That I am a person of my word that always backs it up, right? So if I say, I'm going to help you get results and I'm going to help you become the best version of yourself, and we're going to grow and you're going to build and you're going to have opportunity and all this and stuff, I can say it with so much confidence because I know on my end, I will do everything possible to help whoever I'm talking to get that thing, get that product, get that service, get that result, right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
which will naturally attract more and more people. So, once again, backing it, diluting it all down, like if you want to develop the best skill set in the world of influence, you have to have confidence. If you want to develop confidence, you got to be a person of your word. If you want to be a person of your word, start doing what you said you were going to do. Start with the truth. Have a real inventory, right? And admit when you screw up. No one's going to be perfect 100% of the time. Integrity is owning the truth. It's not perfection. It's owning the truth. It Yesterday I said I would do 10 push-ups. I only did 5. I only did 5, so I have improvement to be made. Or yesterday I said I was going to write a page of my book. I only wrote a paragraph. I'm not going to lie to myself and say, "Oh, that page or that paragraph is basically a page. It's probably good enough." Or, those 2 push-ups were on the way to 10, so it's probably good enough, right? When you start lying to yourself and just telling yourself these stories and not owning the truth, you will never be able to improve. And if you don't improve, you won't have confidence. You don't have confidence, you won't have influence. If you don't have influence, you won't be successful.
Well, that's like a punchline right there. That's like what I call like a golden nugget. Chris, can you like think and go back with me like in that moment when you're in your garage and you want to start this business? How do you pursue this industry that you pursue, like your company? Like how do you, like, what in what way you were like, okay, like I want to go in this route because this is the
Yep.
data is telling me. Like, what's your process before building a company? Because honestly, Chris, I had to give you an applause because you have done it twice, learned once. It's not like a home run, like in you, if you got crypto lucky, like in 2016, 17, like you got lucky, you got in early. It's not like that type of success. It's a success that is planned, a success that is
For
like
sure.
that,
It's
like
designed.
like,
Yep.
design. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yep.
Yeah.
So first off, whenever you're building a business, you have to have something that works. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I chose solar because I knew solar worked, right? I had been in the solar industry. I had experience in it. I had seen that it worked. And so I decided to go all in on solar, right? Too many
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs, they don't have any experience in what they're doing and they don't even know if it works. And then they hear guys like me that say, "Hey, go all in." And so they go all in on something that doesn't work, doesn't scale, doesn't they have no experience in it. So one,
Mm-hmm.
gain experience. Usually the best way to gain experience is go and fail a bunch of times or go work for somebody else. Both work,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people say, "Oh, you need to own your own business." Why not? No, go work for somebody else. You can be an entrepreneur in somebody else's organization. You could be an entrepreneur. So
Mm-hmm.
and gain the experience, understand what you're going, like that the product works, that it's scalable. Once again, if uh, like what happens is like people will have an idea and they're like, I think this will make money, right? And so then what they do
Mm-hmm.
is they spend a bunch of time planning and developing and making sure they have the perfect product, perfect service before they even know it'll make money. Then they take it to the market, they try selling it, only to find out nobody wants it. Nobody wants that product or service, right? And so now what is like you've just screwed yourself and they're like, "Oh, entrepreneurship isn't for me," or whatever else. So it's like if you have a product or service and you have no experience in it, get a very minimal viable product, something very basic. Test market it, put it out to the market. Ask the question,
Mm-hmm.
if I created this, would you buy it? Right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and get like things going and have something that you can go and present to the market. So for me, when it came to solar, I had already been in the solar industry, so I knew it worked, right? I knew that people wanted my product or service, and I
Mm-hmm.
had experience in it. So I didn't have to go and develop like a crazy new skill set or anything like that. There were
Mm-hmm.
things that I didn't have experience in. I never had experience in installing it. I never had experience in doing it in like what we call a B or C market, right? Where solar didn't necessarily make financial sense to the customer. So those were a few things that I had to test
Mm-hmm.
out, that I needed to like do some initial marketing. Like, is there a need or want for this product in a market where it doesn't make financial sense? And so initially we did some marketing, but from there, it was just everything by design and going super deep, right? And my playbook was starting with the end in mind. It wasn't like, let's just see how this thing plays out and see if we make money. It was, okay, I'm sitting in my garage. 5 years from now, what do I want to have? What do I want to build? Okay. What would get me super stoked? What would accomplish the goals that I have physically, economically, with my associations and my spirituality? Like, what kind of dollar
Mm-hmm.
figure do I need to be able to build the life that I want and build it 5 years out? And then I'm going to back it into what I need to do today. And so when I looked at my roadmap, my blueprint, I looked 5 years from now, I want to be doing $100 million a year. And in order to do $100 million a year, how many employees do I need? What does my organization look like? And I built a 5 year blueprint of how many
Wow.
salespeople, how many managers, how many operators, how many support staff, how many everything, right? And the number I came up with was, in order to get to $100 million a year, I need to have 500 employees. And I need them
Wow.
in these different departments, and I need all this different stuff. And that's day essentially 1 or 2, when I've got like 1 or 2 employees in my garage. And so I build this roadmap. and I go and I start attracting people with it. And so if you'll notice, so my goal 5 years was to do was at 100 million a year with 500 employees. In 5 years, we ended up doing 233 million a year with 1,100 employees. Now, the crazy thing, if you look at the ratio, my ratio was almost nuts on. Like it was almost perfect. I needed
Perfect.
right
Mm-hmm.
for every $1 million, I needed five employee or whatever that number is. So like you double the 100 million to 200 million, that's 1,000 employees. Like I said, we did 233 million with 1,100 employees. So the ratio was almost perfect. But then we took that, and that's what we recruited on. Like, hey, this is the company that we're building. This is where we're going. This is how we're going to get there. These are the people that we need. I know you're coming in at this level, but as long as you do A, B, and C, you develop out, there's going to be this management opportunity. There's going to be this organization opportunity. And so then it was like just influencing and impacting, because I had so much confidence that I could go and build, because once again, I'm a person of my word. I'd fulfilled. I'd shown
Mm-hmm.
up to the gym. I'd taken care of my wife. I had prayed to my God. I had done everything else, that I was so confident that I could go and tell someone in my garage while it's sweating and we don't have air conditioning and everything else, that
Wow.
this is what we're going to build, and I'm committed to building it. Do you want to come be a part of it or not? And then I was able to influence incredible operators to come and be a part of it, because they saw the vision, they saw the direction, they saw what we were building. And so like, what was the secret sauce? It was beginning with the end in mind, creating a 5-year
Mm-hmm.
blueprint that I was confident I could go and do, and building the confidence based off of living in integrity and being a man of truth.
Well, you mentioned a lot of God, and I'm a believer of God. One day behind cameras, we can have like a few experiences that I have had. But how do you think God is like how important for people in their lives, like in terms of in general in success? Because you have it all. You have health, wealth, and relationship. You have it all. Like what every people aspire, you already have it. So how God has played in your life, play in to make it, like happen.
Well, first of all, God isn't part of life. God is life, right? Like I believe that I lived
Mm-hmm.
with God before this life. I believe that I will continue on that path after this life, and that
Mm-hmm.
life is a time to prove who I am and what I am capable of becoming. I believe that I am a son of God, and as a son, that I have just as many characteristics that I could potentially inherit from my father, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so,
Mm-hmm.
because of it, I look at everything in life as a way for God preparing me to inherit His kingdom, right? And so I see influence and business and family and physical fitness and everything as a form of God. I believe that God is a science, right? Right? Like people like a lot of times they'll talk about like, oh, I believe in God or I believe in science. The funny thing is I believe that science is the way that God operates, right? Like that there are
Mm-hmm.
formulas, there are equations, there are different things, and that uh, as like God wants to be involved in every intricate thing that we do, and it's only us that keep him out. He never takes himself out of our lives. It's we
Mm-hmm.
block it. I think the best way that I ever heard it explained is God and His blessings are like rain, right? It is constantly pouring out, and He's wanting to pour them down upon us. A lot of times we throw up an umbrella and we block them out, right? He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
stop raining. He doesn't stop raining his blessings or whatever else. But yeah, like he wants the scriptures talk about that his hand is stretched out still. Like God is there waiting for us to return, waiting for us to turn to him, to everything else. And so like for me, involving God in everything that I do is absolutely imperative. I believe that he helps me physically. I believe that he helps me achieve my goals from, like I said, fitness and my relationships and my financial goals. Now, I don't think, like, I'm not saying like, if you're poor, you don't believe in God. But what I'm saying is,
Mm-hmm.
if you're poor, you're not using the proper equations that God has prepared, right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
there are equations to success. Most of us are just too impatient with the timeline that equation takes.
Wow, that's powerful. Wow, honestly, you're giving so much golden nuggets here. Um, wow, I'm just speechless. Like honestly, I even got excited when I heard this. But also in term, since this is like a business podcast, I want people to understand how do you structure a 500 people company, like in a way, because for me, like, I manage like 5 to 10 employees, and I think it's like a lot. Like I don't know how do you do it. Like in a way, like 500 is like 100 times more. Like how do you do it?
Well, you first of all, you have to think big enough, right? Like, what I hear you saying is like, I have 10 employees. I can't imagine having 500. Well, you got to start imagining, right? Like, you got to say, what does life look like if I am Julio, living my best, the best potential that God has put me on this earth to do, right? And so for me, I look at it and like, God's got a lot of
Mm,
potential for me. I've got to go and become the best Chris Lee there is, right? And so the best Chris Lee there is doesn't play small, right? The best Chris Lee doesn't play with 10 employees, doesn't play with whatever else. And so the way you structure it is, like I said, you got to begin with the end in mind. You got to go after a big number that's going to allow you to have impact and influence and everything else. And then you got to figure out, like, what are the unit economics to be able to make that thing work, right? So like,
mm,
the easiest way to start structuring a $100 million business. I don't call it a 500 employee business. I call it $100 million business, because
mm,
employees are are tools to get to 100 million. It's not get me 500 employees and make 100 million. It's how do I make 100
right.
million with the proper tools, and employees are part of that structure. And so you always address any organization first and foremost with sales. Like, how am I going to sell my product? Now, if it's through automation, you don't need a whole lot of salespeople. If it's one on
Mm,
one interaction or one to many interaction, you're going to need
mm,
some level of salespeople, whether it's B2C, business to consumer, or B2B, business to business. And then they're giving you
mm,
affiliate offers or whatever it is, right? And so, but you have to back in your sales and marketing first, because sales and marketing is how you generate money in the door, right? And so,
right.
there's three basic verticals in any organization. You have sales and marketing, one vertical, which can later be split into two. You have operations, which is the fulfillment of whatever you sold, product, service, whatever. And then it's finance, which is essentially keeping everything structured and reported on, right? And so you have
Wow.
those three basic departments or verticals in the business. You have to start with the first one, which is your sales and marketing, and you say, okay, if I want to do $100 million a year, what does the average salesperson in my industry sell on a yearly basis, right? And so, for round numbers sake, we'll say that the average person does $1 million a year. Okay. If it's $1 million a year, then what does that mean? It means I need 100 salespeople to be able to
Mm,
do $100 million a year. And with 100 salespeople, what kind of management, support, and training staff do I need? Okay, the law of management tells me that I need between a person can only manage up to three to eight people. Lower on the totem pole, the more people they can manage. So, at the bare minimum, if I have 100 salespeople and people can only maximize eight, that means I need at least 13 managers. Okay. Because
Mm,
13 managers times 8 is 104, right? So
mm,
I have 100 salespeople, 13 managers. Of the 13 managers, I'm probably going to break it down into regions of
mm,
4 and 5 people. That means I'm going to need three three to four regional managers. For the 3 to 4 regional managers, I'm going to have a divisional president that's going to manage those people. From that, I'm going to probably have a VP of sales and marketing or VP of sales, and that's just the hey, let's go and sell group. But do they need training? Do they need reporting? Do they need development? Right? Okay, well, I need to do a sales enhancement arm, something that builds out a training platform and consistently takes care of these people, helps support the managers with the data and everything else. And so I go back and I build out my whole sales organization. Okay, if that's what it's going to take, what is my marketing organization? Am I going to outsource my marketing? Am I going to build out my own internal team, right? And then you go and you build that out. Now, when you start with the end in mind and you do something like this, it's not going to be perfect, right? And there's lots of
mm,
resources out there. ChatGPT is a great resource. Google's a
mm.
great resource. People like me are a great resource, like going and being a part of coaching groups and consulting groups that can tell you, hey, what kind of ratios you should be looking for, or, does this look good? Does it not? But whatever you start with, whatever you go and you build out, and same thing goes for operations. If I go to operations and say, like in the solar business, we need crews to be able to install our solar systems, and we say, okay, how many solar systems can a crew install on a weekly basis, on a yearly basis, and then we back into the number of like, okay, if I want 100 million and my average ticket price is 35,000, that means I'm going to be doing, 3,000 jobs. If I'm doing 3,000 jobs and the average crew does 200 jobs a year, then I need how many crews, right? And you back it up, law of management all the way up, supporting staff, research and development, quality control, whatever it is, right? And once again, you can go to different resources and say, hey, what should a structure like this look like? Blah, 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 whatever. And then you build the whole thing out. Now you got a roadmap. Now you got a game plan to be able to go and take over the world.
Wow. Honestly, I'm impressed. You're like one of the people that I honestly like admire. I met a lot of people, big people, but one thing I admire you, Chris, and I want people to also listen to it is your humbleness and your ability to help others. Like you do it. You don't need to be here. You're here, and like a person that like literally can be doing anything that they want in their life, and they're choosing to share with us. And also, and grateful people like go follow Chris, and we'll leave the links below. I have two last questions, because I want to respect your time. The last one is, what is with your Spanish? Porque tú hablas español. How do you learn to speak Spanish?
Pues yo era misionero para mi iglesia, para la iglesia de Jesucristo de los Santos de los Últimos Días, por dos
Ah,
años en el estado de Oklahoma, aquí en los Estados Unidos.
oh,
Pero yo he mantenido el español hablando por medio de las ventas, por medio de pues, la gente. Yo tengo muchos empleados que hablan español y todo eso. Y entonces, pero hace 20 años que regresé de mi misión, pero sí, todavía hablo. No es perfecto, pero lo
no,
hablo.
pero oye, pero bien fluido. And the last question, Chris, so we can wrap it up. If you were in your 2017, and let's go back, because I think that this is the most powerful thing, because most people right now, like usually in like when in Puerto Rico, Latin America, when they're starting a business, they're bootstrapping, because like the median, for example, in Puerto Rico, the median average income of people, like a family houses, of $12,000 a year. And in a way, like like we have been like into similar situation. Obviously your success is way bigger than I aspire, and one day hopefully we'll drink a tea, and this conversation help me get over there. um what will you tell yourself? What words of affirmation will you tell yourself, like like that you feel like genuinely like that help you continue moving forward? Like what things do you think that help you, that you in your self dialogue, self thought, that you were thinking, okay, I have in this situation right now, like how can I move forward, because in a way it's something that I admire, because I met so many people that they're into their entrepreneurship, things are not working out, and next thing you know they're quitting, and they're like, giving up on their dreams, and they're leaving an average job and a lavish life when they're meant for more.
Yeah, yeah. So, a couple things that I've always told myself. One, or things that I would even ask myself. Like, one, what would I do if I had no fear? Right. And so, like, fear typically drives most people's actions. And so I
Mm-hmm.
asked myself, what would I do if I had no fear? So I identify the fear that I'm feeling in the moment, remove it, and I create a clear game plan of action of things I would do if I wasn't allowing my fear to control me. Right. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's number one. Number two is I consistently tell myself, and this has been years of after knocking doors. I used to do a lot of door to door sales and everything else, and I would tell myself, do what you're physically able to do, not what you're mentally able to do, because there we have a lot of excuses, a lot of reasons not to take action, and usually the reasons, like, the better you get at producing, the better your reasons and excuses get. Like, for example,
Mm-hmm.
excuses I would hear is like, nobody expects you to do more. Nobody, you're already at the top of your game, you're already doing great things, like, people already respect you and love you. Like, these are excuses that I hear in my mind, and I have to remind myself that's not a good reason to give up. That's not a good reason to stop working, not to keep moving forward. And so, uh, telling myself, do what you're physically able to do, not what you're mentally able to do. Like, are my legs broken? Is my tongue still in my mouth? Can I make that one more phone call? Can I knock one more door? Can I do one more spreadsheet? Can I write one more page? Right? Like, am I physically capable of doing that? Like, that's what consistently has uh, kept me going. And then last is that, you know results are not the reason I'm in the game. I'm in the
Mm-hmm.
game to become the best tree possible, not produce the best fruit, the cash, the cars, the vehicles, whatever else. Like, fruit is cool. I need to be the best tree possible that has the
Mm-hmm.
ability to produce fruit consistently. Because if my mind is on the fruit, then I'm going to be severely depressed when the fruit doesn't turn out the way I thought it was going to do. But if I'm on the
Mm-hmm.
tree, right, the tree is a consistent work that is growing forever, and it isn't just seasonal. It doesn't just come and go based off of seasons. And so, like, those are the main mentalities that have always kept me on the right path.
Wow, amazing. Honestly, Chris, this is one of the best interviews I ever heard. Honestly, I feel so genuinely, and like I'm very grateful for this, and for all the people that they wanna look go like follow your work and also scale their business. What page would they go? Where do they
Yeah, so
find
you
you?
can follow me on all major social media platforms. Instagram uh, is Chris Lee QB, like quarterback QB.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on all major. You can find me on Facebook that way. You can find me on TikTok. I'm most active on Instagram and Facebook. And then I run a community. I have a $9 trial. We have a course that you get access to, like our weekly recording calls, and my whole way to build any business. You don't have to be in the home service business to use my course. It's
Okay.
it's it's my whole structure to build any business. It's $297 a month to be a part of that, but we're doing a $9 trial. You can go and find it on
Okay.
my Instagram link or whatnot, or maybe it's in the
Okay.
show notes here. But yeah, I'd uh, highly recommend that. It's a platform that's hosted on School, and there's a lot of good discussion and everything else in there.
Amazing. I will definitely be part of it. I'll be joining. I'm very excited. So yeah, thank you so much, Chris, and we see you in the next one.
Thank you, Julio.